All right, we're live. So, special guest, boxing royalty at this stage.
Oh,
Most
stop that.
people would, yeah, number one interviewer on the zone. How are we doing?
Oh, good, man. Thanks for having me on, bro. It's a shame that I'm not in the studio, so there's no green chair. But it is me. I promise it is Ade Oladipo. I'm in my front room. But look, always good to be on Gman. Obviously, look, me and you go back a couple of years now. And it's
Hmm.
good to see your growth. So, as much as you said unboxing royalty, your growth on this platform, YouTube, has been incredible in the last, especially in the last year.
Yes.
And the numbers in the last year have
Yeah.
gone through the roof. So, well done.
I know. I still have to pinch myself sometimes when I see it, mate. To be honest with you, we went from, I think this time 2 years ago, I had a little over 1,000 to like well over six now. It's crazy how things, I suppose, as you say, always, you just keep working at it. You never know where it's going to go.
Yeah, I think that's it. Sounds like basic, but that is it. You just got to put out more content. Like even for people that have got really good numbers, like if they put out more content, they'll get more views. More views probably equal more subscribers. So that's the only way. I mean, yes, you can do big interviews and get a few superstars on, but nothing beats just doing a video and chucking it up and doing another video and just doing that and keeping it the same like that all the time.
No, it's the best. And the good thing is we've got a lot to talk about with regards videos. And Sunday evening was that was when kind of like my head blew up. And actually the first thing I thought of was you because it was Garrett A. Davis who broke this door, and I was like, I gotta ask Ade about this. What do you
Yeah.
think? He's saying AJ step it aside, AJ saying no. What's your thoughts on this? And do you think, look, honestly, right, if you were AJ's manager and you were his advisor in an alternate world, what would you be telling him to do?
All right, let's start with the latter. If I was AJ's manager, I'll be saying step aside. If someone wants to pay you 15 million pounds or dollars to not fight, take the money. I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes every sense in the world. Take the money and live for another day because I think we all saw AJ's fight against Usyk, and let's be brutally honest, there's not many people that give AJ a very good chance in the rematch, and because of that, and with no manager announced, and we don't know where his head's at yet. You think is he really ready to step in the ring with an unbeaten Ukrainian as good as Alexander Usyk in 3 months? No, I don't think he is. So if I'm AJ's manager, I'm saying step aside. Look, he's going to get some stick for stepping aside. There's no doubt people will come out for him a lot, but they forget things very quickly in this world as well. Everyone has microwave memories. In 5 or 6 months after, they're going to forget that AJ even stepped aside. So if I'm AJ's manager, take the 50 million and let Usyk and Fury sort of duel it out, and then potentially you fight the winner. Potentially.
I think they said pretty much in that like article I read that he was pretty much guaranteed to fight the winner. The question
Mm.
then I have is what happens to Dylan White then? Because
Yeah.
he's the one in the middle of this, and it's like he'll get money, and they were talking about 5 million, which is more than he's ever got for a fight. So imagine getting, but I don't know. I think he's invested this much in a title shot. At this, if he,
Yeah, look,
what would you
it's
say?
not good for Dillian, right? And all the people within this sort of issue, Dylan White's the one I feel sorry for the most, if I'm honest with you. I mean, AJ's had his big fights, Tyson Fury's had his big fights, Usyk had a big fight with AJ, just gone. Dylan White's not really had his yet. You know, I mean, you think of him versus AJ, that was what 5 years ago. That was at the time a
Yeah,
British level
years ago.
fight. Povetkin wasn't that big. The fact that one was behind closed doors and one was in front of a few people in Gibraltar, he's not really had that big world level standout fight. People might say Joseph Parker. I don't think that's it. So he's been waiting for a big one. So yes, he'll get 5 million. I think the only thing that's going to satisfy Dillian White is if he's promised that he's fighting AJ. If it's a case of okay,
Mm.
Usyk fighting Fury, give me AJ in a stadium plus the 5 million, and I think that will go some way in sort of chilling him out a little bit. AJ's the only fight, and I've interviewed Dylan White, and he spoke about AJ a lot. AJ's the only one that he really wants to avenge, and I think if he gets the chance against AJ, he'll take that fight.
It would make sense. How much would he get? An absolute crazy amount for AJ. Be massive
Yeah.
here. Plus 5 million for doing absolutely nothing. It does
Mm.
kind of make sense in that regard. But I just worry that how do I say it? If say for argument's sake he does step aside, he doesn't get a fight. I just wonder if he soured his relationship with WBC to the point where even if say Fury vacates, they'll still make him jump through hoops at this stage because I know I think Dylan White. I see why, and I understand why he's gone like down the league road to WBC, but I just don't think he's done it the right. I think he's just tried too hard, and now he's after upsetting a few people in the WBC.
Yeah, and look, I actually don't think it's Dillian White that's caused the problems. I think it's his management team,
Mm.
whoever that may be, that's caused the issues. I think Dillian White's a fighter, and 9 times out of 10, all fighters want to do is fight. They want to fight and they want to make sure they get paid. It's his team behind him that have probably said, okay, look, we need to go down the legal route. I don't think Dillian White wanted to do it. I think they've done it. It's a bit too late now, and obviously they're going through an arbitration issue with the WBC as it stands. When it's all said and done, I don't necessarily know how much he cares about fighting for the WBC belt. I think it's the name that's attached to it now, that name being Tyson Fury. I think he just wants to be in
Mm-hmm.
big fights. So whether that's AJ, Tyson Fury, Usyk, or Wilder fight, I just think he wants to be in that mix. Because we've always had Dillian White outside of that. We've always had like the top three or
Yeah,
four. And Dillian White has always been like the fifth, the naughty child that's never really, like we've never really thought of he
the
can
odd
mix
one
it
out.
with those guys. But now he just wants to be in there. Give me a chance to mix it with those guys. Why have I not had the opportunity? So I think for him, it's not necessarily about the belt. It's about giving him the chance to fight Fury, Wilder, Usyk, AJ, and giving him a bit of respect that I think he still probably hasn't got from sort of hardcore boxing fans.
I think we are a bit like that at times, though. We do kind of, even what Dylan White's done is great. Like, don't get me wrong, he's got great names on his resume, but we do kind of tend to look at the Wilder, the Fury, the Joshua
Yeah.
more so than we do. And at the end of the day, like, if you said a couple of years ago, like, say, like, before he fought 80, Dylan White would beat Povetkin and Parker, yeah, at that stage, me and you would be like, what, really? That's amazing. We still kind of don't, maybe we don't look at that and think, Jesus, we don't really give him the kind of respect he maybe deserves in that regard. But going back to AJ, all right, let's just say he does a step aside as we think he should. There's talk of him getting it, well, pretty much confirms getting a new trainer. I know you were saying Robert Garcia in your previous video about him. Now, I don't really agree with him as a trainer, to be honest with you. I think stylistically for AJ wouldn't work. But if he isn't fighting Usyk next, who would you like to see AJ go with?
What, as a trainer or in terms of who he
Mm.
fights?
No, as a trainer.
As a trainer, it's a difficult one with regards to AJ because I don't even necessarily think stylistically is the biggest problem for AJ. Look, stylistically, no trainer in the world is going to match him up against Usyk. So that
No.
stylistically, that's the first problem. You're fighting a guy that with his amateur pedigree, and like, I spoke to Tony Bellew about fighting Usyk, and he told me how hard it was. I've spoken to Chisora about fighting him, and he told me as well. So I don't think he's ever going to find a trainer that's realistic and say, okay, this is how we beat Usyk, because Usyk's a tough proposition. I think it's mentally with AJ that the big issue is, and that's why I mentioned Robert Garcia. I didn't think of him as a because Robert Garcia doesn't even have any great heavyweights that he's ever trained to do anything.
I don't think he's
It's
ever
more,
trained a heavyweight.
I don't think he has. No, I think it's more middleweights and welterweights and below that. I just think as a person, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy, and I feel maybe sometimes AJ might just need that in the camps. Someone that's a nice guy in the camp to kind of bring out the best in AJ. I don't know, man. There's been talk about Ronnie Shields, who we know has trained heavyweights in the past and
It's
done a
very
good
good.
job in training heavyweights as well. So he could be there. It's a difficult one with AJ. It really is. I mean, look, some people even think he should stick with Rob McCracken. Um,
No.
I don't believe so at all. I think he should have got rid of Rob McCracken when he first lost to Ruiz all that time way back again at Madison Square Garden in America. But look, I think it's going to be one of the big American names. I think it's going to be a Ronnie Shields. I think it's going to be Virgil Hunter or Robert Garcia. It's going to be one of those. Look, I know for a fact he's flown all three out, I think, to Dubai for more
Really?
sort of one-to-one mediations, one-to-one sessions, sort of behind closed doors. So it's going to be one of those three guys. It has to be. And we'll see which one he chooses. But I'm more leaning towards Robert Garcia because I think of it as an interview process in my head. And if Robert Garcia is sitting down opposite a table with Anthony Joshua, I think he speaks so well, he can almost sell himself to AJ. And let's not forget as well, he's a former world champion himself. So he can relate a bit to AJ and the pressures of, his brother fighting and him training his brother. There's a lot of similarities there. And I just feel like that might work with AJ. Just the idea of, look, I'm a former world champion. I understand the pressure you're going through. He's a nice guy. I think those tick a few boxes for AJ. It isn't necessarily about the Stevie or having trained other heavyweights. I don't think AJ will think that.
Do you think with AJ? Because when I see him in interviews, I just see a man who his mind seems a bit all over the shop. It seems like
Mm.
1 minute he's talking about. Because remember he gave an interview a few weeks ago with IFL, and he was talking about being the better boxer next time around with Usyk. I only won 3 rounds. I'll win 7. And the next minute he's talking about I'm going in there and I'm going to put it on him. And I'm just thinking, are you like what is going on in that head? Are you just thinking of this, and then you may be being reminded of the fight? You're thinking, oh, now I need this, and now I need this, and a part of me just thinks AJ's overthinking a bit going into. But even if he's not in a rematch with Usyk next time, his mind is still maybe jumping the gun and thinking, I need to do this, but then I need to do this, and should I do this? Where you should just stop and just, right, what happened? What happened? It's done. Focus on the now.
Yeah, I mean, all these interviews recently have been car crash interviews, all of them. Honestly, like the two with IFL TV, the one where I think he invited Coogan to Watford, and then the one in Dubai was awful. He started talking about a triangular effect of, you know, business. I was like, stop. Look, I'm one of the biggest AJ fans I know, so I'm always an apologist for AJ, but they've been car crash interviews, and I think trying to please too many people. Every time I see him speak, he's almost like he's trying to please the brand AJ the fighter. A bit of Philly comes out sometimes, and I think let's focus on you, man. Focus on yourself. And look, not only you mentioned the fact that he said he needs to win 3 or 4 rounds. Sorry, you know, so we get 7 rounds next time. So he's spoken about step aside. He's spoken about win a few more rounds. It's just like, what are you talking about, man? Just stop. Honestly, I want him to stop talking. And I'm even surprised that, because I know the way AJ's team work, whereby they would maybe have looked at that Coogan Cassius interview before it goes out. I'm surprised they've not stopped them from going out. I think they're horrendous interviews.
And the thing is as well, right? People were saying, oh, but Fury does interviews like that, but that's in Fury's character. I mean, Fury is the sort of guy where he says things like, I was training with Conor McGregor, and then McGregor said, I'd never even seen him in my life. But you don't think about that. That's Tyson Fury. When Anthony Joshua does it, it's so out of character. That's when you're like, well, hang on, what's going on here?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest problem. Look, Fury, we accept the nonsense because he's shown us the kind of nonsense from the get-go. Like from the very, very beginning of his pro career, Fury says one thing, then another thing. I remember when Fury beat Wilder or drew with Wilder the first time around, he said all the money's going to charity. Not a penny went to charity. But we just kind of accept it because it's Tyson Fury. Yeah, the problem with AJ is that AJ has tried to bring out this, you know, this wonderful clean-cut character. And like, when he does trip up his words, which we all do as human beings, it gets magnified because you're thinking, what are you doing? Like, honestly, what are you doing? So look, again, as an AJ fan, I want him just to disappear for a while. No social media, no Instagram stories, none of this, none of that. And just get down to business. Just get down to business, because next fight, his career's on the line. I mean, I've always said, like, he loses again, and the way in which he lost to Usyk was bad as well, but he loses again like that, then, you know, would he still be able to fill out stadiums? Would he still be able to even fill out arenas? Will people still want to buy his pay-per-views? A lot of this has to come into consideration. So just go back to being normal AJ before all the brands, before all the pressure, and let's see what you can do in the next year or so.
I got a question. I've asked a few people this, and I want to know your take on it, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Do you think when it's all said and done, in hindsight, we might look back at AJ's career and say the biggest possible mistake that was made with his career was giving him that world title so early on, rather than letting him learn along the way, going to European, and if he had a crisis there, at least he could get through it and it would help him develop and grow. You've given him a world title. Now he already had pressure. Even going back to the Gary Cornish fight, he was filling out the O2 back then. You've added exponentially amount more pressure on him. Do you think we might look back and say he was fast-tracked too much, and although he was good enough to be able to cope to a certain point, it kind of shunned any future development?
I don't think so. I don't. Don't get me wrong. I understand your point, Gman, but I think once the opportunity is there, you take it. You take it. That fast track that AJ did led to him versus Vladimir Klitschko in front of 90,000. Led to him versus Joseph Parker in front of 80,000. Carlos Takam 75,000, and that was because of the fast track. Like, what AJ has done for British boxing is just, I mean, he's made stadiums be normal. Like, that's not a normal thing. You know, it's not normal because Carl talks about it every time you can get a chance to talk to him about George Groves 80,000. AJ has made fighting in a stadium just normal. You speak to people that have come up in and around the same time as AJ, and they'll even tell you that their money's got a bit more because of the interest in boxing now because of AJ. So look, I get it. Charles Patton at the time wasn't necessarily a proper world champion, even the way in which he won belt. But if there is a world champion there and you can get that belt, you get that belt. You take that belt. And I don't think none of us saw what it was going to be. I mean, after you beat Charles Martin, then obviously you beat Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina. I might even say the Vladimir Klitschko fight was too soon. But again, you take your chances, and he beat Vladimir Klitschko. So I don't think we'll look at it as being fast-tracked. I think everyone, you speak to a lot of people, everyone knew about AJ's limitations. I don't think no one thought this was the second coming of Lennox Lewis. And I think AJ's done well in his career so far. I think for him to turn, for even to start the sport of boxing at 18 and to get where he's got so far, it's incredible. It really is. It's incredible. And I just feel like the problem for him is that he's in an era with Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. And it's just, that's just how it is. I mean, you look at the era that Vladimir Klitschko ran through, there were no Tyson Furies and Alexander Usyks in that era. Just got two bloody greats here, and that's a problem.
Yeah, no. And see, like, with AJ as well, like, a bit like you, I've watched AJ since he turned pro. Even seen a few of his amateur fights. I love him. I love watching him. Absolutely love watching him. And I try and keep it as apart as I can. Can't see him beating Usyk. And I just want to see him... I want to see him learn as a fighter and get better and give him the best chance of making the most of his talent, because I think he's got loads there. And I think that he really does need to take the pride cometh before a fall. You know what I'm saying? Take that step aside, do your work with your new trainer, and then go in. Because, as I said, like, even if he takes this rematch with Usyk, gets a new trainer, you're talking a couple of months to get ready with a new trainer. We saw with Joseph Parker, with Andy Lee in the first fight. The short fight didn't really seem changed. Give it a couple of months, like, what was it, 9 months? Different fighter.
Yeah. Different fighter, completely different. And look, as much as I thought Andy Lee done unbelievable work with Joseph Parker, he was fighting Derek Chisora as well, who only fights in one way. I mean, here you're talking Alexander Usyk, who I think had more years. I think, honestly, watching the AJ, I've watched it back about 10 times, and I can see Alexander Usyk is almost expecting a bit more from AJ, so he's a bit hesitant to pull the trigger. But when he does start going through the gears, it's actually quite frightening how quick he goes through the gears. Like, this guy literally has every punch in the book. So look, I'm with you. I think, and I said on my video on my YouTube channel, I think it takes about 4 or 5 fight camps to get in sync with a trainer, let alone getting anyone. I mean, AJ could get the legend, the great Manny Stewart, to be in his corner for Usyk. He ain't winning, because I think Usyk's that good. It takes about 4 or 5 fight camps. So look, let's see what AJ can do. I would like to see AJ have 2 fights before he fights, or even thinks about fighting the winner of Fury Usyk. 2 big wins. So I'm talking a Dillian White and maybe a Hergovich or a Joe Joyce. Like, let us know as fight fans you're ready for Usyk Fury. I don't like the idea of him fighting a White and then a Fury Usyk winner. I don't think you're deserving of it, if I'm honest with you. I want to see 2 big wins, and then we'll see what he can do.
But I think that's spot on. And as you say, interesting. I always like that as well, watching that Usyk Joshua fight. It's scary with Alexander Usyk, that you look at that and you can see he's coasting, and he's probably not even in 5th gear yet. And it's actually quite scary.
No way. He didn't get past, I'm telling you, up until like round 11, 12 was the only time he was like, and the only reason he went to gear 4, 5 in round 11, 12 is because he knew he was fighting on AJ's home soil, and he was scared about the ref and the judges. That was the only reason. If that was anywhere else in the world, he would have stayed in gear 3, 4. He thought, okay, let me just go up a level just to make sure I win this 100%. And I think he thought, what is AJ trying to have a boxing match with me? I was there ringside for it, and you could see him almost like, is he really trying to have a boxing match with me? Okay, we can do this. Like, I thought, he was thinking AJ, a stony, everyone's going to rush him and use that strength and muscle. AJ did none of that, and that shocked me. That is really bad coaching, that is, from Rob McCracken and everyone in the team, to think that you are okay with AJ having a boxing match with an Olympic gold medalist of that pedigree. Incredible, really bad.
It's mind-blowing at that stage. But speaking of boxing, if AJ does take the step aside, that means we're getting Fury Usyk. Now, I don't know about you, but I love that fight. I think that is brilliant. And I'm just going to put my hands out and say I'm picking Usyk to win that fight, if it happens. Yep. Man, I'm picking Usyk to win that fight.
One thing I will say about that, which is interesting, me and Gareth A. Davis do a show every Tuesdays on Talk. So you've done the show with me yourself.
Yes.
Fight Night Extra.
Thanks.
We just talk all things boxing.
Tell him to go to the Olympics more often.
Yeah. And Gareth actually spoke to Tyson Fury a couple of days ago. And Tyson Fury was speaking about the Deontay Wilder fights. And he was like, me and Deontay Wilder have taken years off us. in terms of the punishment I took. He said people might have seen me get up off the canvas, but he said the shots that Deontay Wilder hit me with are going to stay with me forever. So in terms of punishment, Fury's taken a lot of punishment in those 3 fights with Wilder. Yes, he won, in my eyes, all 3 of them. But he's taken a lot of punishment. I just feel you're talking a 3 stone difference. Size must come into something. 3 stone difference between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. And I, as much as I love Alexander Usyk, I don't think he's even that good to almost sway that. What's this one? Ade, please ensure Simon Jordan has adult supervision before he talks about boxing with TalkSport. Great show. Yeah, I know. Simon Jordan does chat some absolute nonsense, then he something.
I had to bring that one up when I seen it. No, I think though, if I look at the both guys stylistically, right, Fury is a good boxer. He's not as good a boxer as Usyk. Yes, I think that Fury can use his size advantage, but I'm thinking that Usyk might be able to have his own ways to negate that. I mean, when AJ in that 5th round was trying to put it on Usyk with uppercuts, he knew instinctively where to put his arms at all times and how to back up against the ropes to nullify it. I'm just thinking if Fury's legs, because I don't think Fury has the same legs he used to anymore, especially not now at 270s. I'm just thinking, could he be there? Could it be the time for Usyk? This was the Fury of say 5 6 years ago. I picked Fury, but right now, not saying he's ready for the taking for every heavyweight, but someone the skill of Usyk, maybe.
Yeah, look, skill-wise, I mean, Fury would have never fought anyone close to this. I mean, look at Fury's biggest wins. Vladimir Klitschko, skill-wise, is nothing like Usyk. Wilder's nothing like Usyk. As before that, Chisora, Christian Hamer, he's fought nothing like an Usyk at all, not even close. Whereas Usyk will probably think, he's fought some good guys, Usyk. I mean, Gassiev was a great fighter. Bradis was a good fighter. Joshua, obviously. I don't know, man. It's a tough fight. And that's what it should be for Undisputed. We're trying to find who the greatest heavyweight on the planet is. And it should be a fight that splits opinions. I would edge to Fury just because every time I've gone against him, I've lost. I said Klitschko would beat him. I said Wilder twice. Every time I've gone against him, he finds a way to get the job done. 2 unbeaten fighters as well. It's fantastic. It's everything you want from a boxing match. Look, I hope it happens. I mean, the only issue, again, is that they are talking about the fight happening in Saudi Arabia, which is disappointing, but hey,
we'll wait and see that. I wanted to keep that bit short and sweet. I was just like, I'll get the AJ bit over with, but there's no keeping that bit short and sweet. In terms of some other fights we have coming up, right? The Zone have a good few cards coming out now. Which one out of all of them are you most looking forward to? Like,
easy.
Jacobs, right?
Easy, not even close. It's not even close. Lee Wood, Michael Conlan. It's not even close. The others are good. I think Kiko Martinez is obviously going through his Indian summer, and that fight against Josh Warrington should be a good one because we have no idea what Josh is coming to the ring. Josh hasn't won a fight for a year and a half, so no idea what Josh is going to see.
Nearly 3 years.
Yeah, you're right. Nearly 3 years because he didn't fight for it. So yeah, Josh has not won for ages. And Kiko looked good against Alpha Barrett at a higher weight class and knocked out Kid Gad. So really and truly, if you go on that basis, Kiko should be favourite. But Lee Wood, Michael Conlan has everything because I'm still not super convinced with Michael Conlan. I'm not.
No, not.
There was a time when I was like, oh, he's on a collision course with maybe a Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, Shakur's gone up a weight class and Michael Conlan's kind of stayed where he has. And Lee Wood's started to get a bit of confidence. I think Ben Davison, as much as people like to critique him and call him, what do they call him? Boxer-sized Ben or something?
Boxer-sized Ben, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the fighters that are under him, there's clearly more than just a boxer-sized trainer there. He's got some really good fighters underneath him. So I think that adds to it. Lee Wood's obviously bigger, harder puncher. I love this fight, and I love the fact that it's in Nottingham as well because you're going to get all the Lee Wood's fans. And then, as you know, the Irish are going to travel for Michael Conlan as well. Mate. So in terms of atmosphere, it's going to be the greatest atmosphere this year in a boxing.
Mate, honestly, I can tell you now, right? That Belfast crowd, even though there won't be a full crowd, that will rival. You told me the best atmosphere you ever seen was at Headingley. This will rival it. This will rival it. The Belfast crowds will. Oh man, you haven't seen it until you've been to a show where it's a Belfast card, and I've been to Frampton cards in Belfast. Man, it is unreal.
Yeah, and I think Eddie does so well with doing the press conferences as well. You don't normally. That's something we don't see much anymore. We're nearly 2 months out from it, and he's still done a press conference, one in Nottingham, one in Belfast, and I thought that was really good, just to get everyone's juices flowing. Like, okay, we've got something special coming. And it is. I mean, you look at what's going on right now in the featherweight division. Obviously, Gary Russell Jr. lost to Maxeo recently. You got Navarrete that's over. You got Pico Martinez. You got Lee Wood, Conlon. So it's all starting to come together. And I think we could have a lot of unifications and fingers crossed and undisputed by the end of the year as well. So I think it's a massive opportunity for Lee Wood. He's never earned anywhere near this type of money in his whole career combined. So good luck to him. I'm a big Lee Wood fan, but I want to see a bit.
Who are you picking?
Lee Wood. You know what it is? I think there's something special in Michael Conlon. I think it's there, and unless it comes out on the night, then if Michael Conlon comes in 90%, he loses. He's got to be 100%, and I think Lee Wood's got the power to stop him. So it's fascinating, but I would edge to Lee Wood.
I'm the opposite. I think Lee Wood's going to batter Michael Conlon up and down the ring. I really do. I'm convinced. He's going to batter. There'll be some early rounds at the start. I think Conlon will be awkward, but after that, I reckon Lee Wood is going to batter Michael Conlon up and down that ring. I really do. I'm convinced.
I've said this to anyone that listens that I'm not convinced about Michael Conlon. I think a lot of people are still going on what happened at the Olympics and the fingers to the judges. I think he's been sold on that a lot rather than we've seen him doing his professional ranks yet. He's been massive favourite for every fight he's had. Whereas this is the only fight he's going to come into now where he's a slight underdog or maybe 50-50. Now and Lee Wood coming off that really good win against Kanshu. Massive upset. He's confident right now. He's very, very confident. I like his chances.
I really do as well. And, it's interesting. You were saying about Conlon and Shakur. They're now pretty much, they're going to be fighting Shakur and Oscar Valdez April 30th in a unification at 1:30. Now, I'm just going to be frank, right? I used to like Oscar Valdez up until the Conceição fight. Not because of the win, even though I thought he lost. It was because it happened with VADA and WBC before that. That was a big FU to Oscar Valdez at that point. But taking that out of consideration, what do you think about that fight? Do you think it's Shakur's time?
Yeah, 100%. I think Shakur is a special talent. This is a unification at 130. I have no issue with Shakur going straight to 135 and fighting anyone at 135. And I think he's big enough to go 140 and 147. I know it sounds like I'm really reaching here, but I've seen him in photos. Obviously, he's very close to same team as Terence Crawford. And you see him when him and Terence Crawford are doing like little, nose-to-nose look. He's the same size as Crawford. So that shows me that he eventually can fill up a bit and go up through the weight classes. And you're right. I guess Robson Conceição, Oscar Valdez lost that fight. He did.
Oh, he did, clearly.
But we have to give him credit for the fight against Miguel Bichel, the fight before. It was clearly the number one at 130 at the time, and he stopped him. So there is something there with him. Obviously, he's training with Reynoso. So you're in that winning team of Canelo and Julio Cesar Martinez and Garcia and Frank Sanchez. So he's in a really good team. I just think that we're looking at a special talent in Shakur Stevenson. So I expect him to get the job done. Won't be easy. I'm telling you now. No. As much as Oscar Valdez didn't look good against Robson Conceição, we all know the issues in the lead up to the fight. And his mind might not have been fully on it. But let's also not forget, Conceição's a very good fighter. Look at his amateur pedigree. Very, very good fighter. So it was always going to be a tough fight. But I like number one versus number two. This is what we want from boxing. And I do think, win or lose, both of them are going to go up another weight class anyway. So it's a good one.
For sure. On that same night, looking like we're going to get Katie versus Amanda in MSG. Yeah, I know. And it's a case of which one do you prefer? Which one do you want to watch? What are your thoughts on that? I know it's not officially in it, but pretty much I reckon that's happening. What are your thoughts on Katie versus Amanda?
It's weird because look, Eddie billed it as the biggest female fight of all time. Look, I don't think it's that. I've already said that I think that was Ali's daughter versus Jackie Fraser.
Fraser, Ali Fraser before they built that.
That was the biggest fight that could be made, and it even got Clarissa Shields and Anna Marshall that we show will happen in a couple of months' time as well. It's a fight that needed to happen. You've got Serrano, who's a 7-8 weight world champion versus Katie Taylor, undisputed, 135 pounds. So it's a fight that I feel like for their legacies needed to happen. My only issue with it is I think it's come a couple of years too late for Katie. I'm a massive Katie Taylor fan, but I've been lucky enough to be ringside for all of her last 4 or 5 fights. And I'm telling you now, there's a lot of deterioration there. And
I've noticed that as well, even just watching it on TV.
Fights. Yeah, I think it's the Pursuit fights have been brutal. Because if you look at the people that she fought last, Jennifer Han wasn't that went all the way and she started getting hit there. That
Was it
Sharapova,
Miriam Gutierrez as well, and
Miriam
Sharapova?
Gutierrez. Yeah, and I saw what Amanda Serrano done to Gutierrez.
Yeah.
So it's, it's not there anymore. It's not. And it's funny because we don't ever think of this with female, but like if she was a male, we would easily say, she's coming to the end, a lot of wear and tear. For some reason, we don't apply the same things to females. She's had a lot of fights as an amateur, and obviously now as a pro, where she's been fighting 3-4 times a year. And I just think that she's coming to the end, and I think Serrano might have got her at the right time.
I think so, and I'm heavily favouring Amanda Serrano. But saying that, maybe Katie, because this is the thing I'm clutching on. The fact that she was fighting, look, let's face it, Sharapova, Jennifer Hand, they're not really, you wouldn't really be jumping out of bed for them kind of fights. Maybe knowing she's, yeah, exactly. But maybe knowing she's in there with Amanda Serrano will bring that extra out of Katie Taylor, and maybe we will see her maybe roll back the ears slightly.
You know what? Yay and nay. And look, yes, you're right. I mean, you're not going to get up for those fights. If you're Katie Taylor and the Jennifer Hand is put to you, you're not going to get excited for Jennifer Hand. By the way, 6 months before that fight had a baby. So those are the type of fights. Yeah, 6 months before that fight had a baby. 6 months. She had a baby in February. The fight, I believe, was in August, right? Or just after fight camp. No, September, wasn't it? Headley.
Yeah, that was September in Headley, yeah.
Yeah, she had a baby in February. So I don't know the difference between it. So it's like 6 or 7 months. But what you need to do, to me, is get rid of those type of ladies and show that they're not supposed to be in there with you. Show them you're Katie Taylor. You're one of the best, if not the best female fight we've ever seen. Get in there and put a job on her so we know, okay, cool. She didn't do that. And to be fair, Hannah had her spots in that fight as well. So I think we're coming to the end of the Katie Taylor story. And don't get me wrong, she's been absolutely fantastic for boxing. Not just for female boxing, for boxing, but I will put all my money on Amanda Serrano getting the job done here.
Yeah, the same as me. I've never met Katie in person now, but she seems an absolutely brilliant person.
Incredible. And let's be honest, it'll be 90% Irish in there as well.
Yeah.
So that could help her as well. That might help her, give her an extra bit. And she'll go to war. Katie will go to war.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see what happens. Amanda is a lot smaller, so we'll see.
She is. In terms of, like, you've obviously been at these DAZN cards doing your interviewing. Have you seen some female fighters on them cards that really have raised your eye and you thought, okay, that's a future world champion / potential star on any of them cards?
I guess there's a couple that spring to mind. One, and I feel bad even mentioning her because she's a world champion now, but Alicia Baumgardner is just the real deal. The real deal. Like, bear in mind, at that fight card in Sheffield, I mean, she's booed to the ring, and I'm watching her. So as I'm doing, because I know I've got to do my interviews, I'm kind of watching, just trying to get a gauge for what I'm going to ask if she were to win. I'm watching this almost skip to the ring and welcome the boos. Something like a Christian Jr. would do, and that he's going to do against Liam Williams. And when she's in there, I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, okay, she might actually be a better boxer than Terry. And when she hit Terry, I was like, okay, you've got more power. So she ticks every box. She's got the power, she's got the boxing ability, she's got the arrogance, the confidence, and I love all that about her. And I can see how she's going to be a problem at 135 or 140 because she's physically quite big as well. And another one that I think is definitely going to be a world champion, like without I put my life on it, Sandy Ryan. I think Sandy Ryan, she is brutal. Like she is almost got like a chip on her shoulder. She fights like she's pissed off.
She does. She does. I remember she fought, was in Italy. It was in Italy, I think she fought, and I was like, holy shit, this girl, what the fuck? You don't see that too often.
It's like someone's pissed her off. I don't get it. And it's funny because I was speaking to a trainer, Clifton Mitchell, and that's the good thing about going to some of these events. Gman is that obviously, look, prior to the weigh-in and after the fight, it's weird. You just realize, oh my god, everyone's human. So you're able to have a conversation. I was having a conversation with her, and sorry, with Clifton Mitchell, and it was just a fascinating conversation. So they got big plans for her. They think that she could be in there with Chantel Cameron right now. They want that kind of fight right now for her. Yeah, they want it now. They don't want to wait. They want it now. Bear in mind that I personally would wait for a little while, but that's what they want. Oh, the big man.
I was gonna say, big shout out. That is the biggest super chat I've ever got, man. Thank you so much. I seen that, I nearly died when I seen that. Thank you, Eve the G man.
I want because it was me that told Ben we're doing this. I want half. This hey man, don't be stupid. Ben supports a lot of boxing people coming up. Really nice.
He's
Really nice to
brilliant. Brilliant man. Brilliant man. But I said I'll get you a drink next time over in London. There you go.
Don't be
I'll get you a
silly.
dear one.
Don't be silly. I'm just happy that you're growing your channel. I think it's fascinating to watch your growth.
No, it's been brilliant. And I think now onto, because I know I don't want to go like way out the way or anything like that or keep it going too long. But we got a fight announced today, right? Now
Yeah.
we were meant to get Chocolatito versus Strada.
Yeah.
That's not happening. But Chocolatito is still fighting on the 5th of March. And mate, I nearly died when I seen this with happiness. Julio Cesar Martinez versus Chocolatito. It's confirmed. It's done.
Yeah.
What do you think, man? That is crazy.
Incredible. Because I mean, let's be honest.
Head blew when I say that.
Strada versus Chocolatito was already going to be a fantastic trilogy fight. But that's one for the hardcore fans because you're talking about pure boxing ability, like just greatness. Martinez comes in and brings chaos. He brings that to the ring. And what I love about Martinez as well, he's like, fuck that, we're going up in weight class. Like Martinez was a flyweight. He's like, I don't mind jumping a couple of pounds, super flyweight. I don't mind taking on one of the greats in boxing, in Chocolatito. I love it because Chocolatito gets to stay on the card as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is a fantastic save for Matchroom DAZN. Like, there can't be that many people at home that are upset, like, Martinez. Everyone's like, what? You got Martinez jumping
the styles, like,
the style. You got Martinez who literally is head down, 100 punches around. You got Chocolatito who's more like looking at what he's doing. But I'm telling you now, there's going to be a time where sparks fly and they go to war. Yeah. It's going to happen where they're going to go to war. It's going to be amazing.
Mate, I was looking forward to Estrada. When I heard this, I was kind of like, I should be so unhappy Estrada's not happening, but I'm even almost happier now that this is happening because I can just think of this fight being like that fight of the year, literally. I can see this easily.
Yeah, 100%. I'm more happy for this than Estrada Chocolatito. And I know it might sound crazy, but I've seen Estrada Chocolatito twice. I've seen it. I kind of know how that fight plays out. It's going to be tight. It's going to be cagey. You're going to have some action. This one, I've absolutely no idea how it plays out. Look, don't get me wrong. Chocolatito's favorite. He has to be favorite because he's Chocolatito. But you have no idea what Martinez is going to do. He's obviously become the Brit killer, the Brit basher. We've seen that already with Andrew Selby and Charlie Edwards.
Harris.
There's a lot of talk about Sonny Edwards. That fight might happen in the future. But for now, the kahunas on this guy to say, I will go up and fight him on 6 weeks notice is beautiful. I love it.
It is, man. It is crazy. I love this. Boy, boxing is so great, isn't it? The fights that can be made, even when we don't get the fight we're promised, we get better fights in some instances. This is why boxing is so great.
And look, it's been a great start to 2022. It has, as much as there will always be frustration about not getting the fights we want, and I get that. There's always going to be those, but we've had a good start to the year. We had an upset already. Kind of the same time last year, we had the same upset with Josh Warrington Law. We've already had an upset with Mark Mateo and Gary Russell Jr. I know Gary Russell was hurt, but regardless, it's an upset. The fight is already starting to get or hear towards. Like, we're going to get Devin Haney, George Kambosos. I can pretty much tell you that fight's going to be done as well. So it's going to be a good 2022. And the heavyweight shit will be sorted out as well. It's going to be a good year. The only person I think is going to have a really funny year is Terence Crawford. I have no idea where he goes.
Yeah, literally.
No idea.
I'm hearing some people say Mayweather. I was like, really? Mayweather, really? That'd probably be PBC technically if it was. Before you went, I want to give a big shout out to Jamie, Punch Perfect Boxing with the super chat. Big up to you. You know, he just hit 2K last night. He literally just hit 2K last night. There's 175 in the chat, by the way. So if anyone in the chat hasn't gone over to Punch Perfect Boxing, I'd highly recommend it. One of the best. Me and you both been on his channel.
Yeah, no, I think I'm doing something with him this week as well. Don't be jealous, Gman. I might be in the studio doing it with better lighting and 1080p 4K quality. But no, I think I'm doing something with him regarding British boxing. But no doubt it will go to world boxing, and we'll cover a few more topics as well. Looking forward to 2022. But look, you know what it is about this, and this is why I'm so happy to jump on people's channels, because I think that I think we can all help each other grow. Exactly. Like, you think of all the football channels, and there's so many of them. But boxing channels, it's almost like you've got to have 20,000 followers to get someone to jump on. It's nonsense. Yeah. Like, we should all jump on each other's channels and help each other out.
And it is good fun. Like, these are so much fun to do. To just have even though we're not physically there, but just to have a mate that I can talk to and be like, yes, we can have a chat about boxing.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. who would not want to do this? Like, I love the idea of talking boxing. It's why I do my Sunday session lives. It's why I try and do a video every day, because I just like talking about it. I've always said I'm not there are some people that know, like, I'm not Spencer Fearon or bloody anything like that, but I just like to talk boxing. I like to chat about what I know and educate myself about things I don't know. And sometimes, whether it be yourself or with Punch Perfect Boxing, you learn things all the time. Like, I watch a lot of these videos. I watch a lot of your videos. You learn stuff all the time. So, look, long may it continue these kind of collaborations, because we can only all get bigger.
Exactly that. Pretty much, I'm gonna wrap it up, but there's one.
No, what do you mean wrap it up? Might as well go. What do you mean talking? Might as well go for an hour. What are you doing? You got how many have you got in the live? How many got in the live?
184, 5 now.
184. Come on, dude. They don't want us to go now.
We get the hour. We'll get the hour. So, I suppose other things we could talk about as well is, I was going to actually ask this off air, but I'm going to ask you it now. Pro Bellum. We know Pro Bellum. They released they're releasing a fight card out in March. Now, there was one fight on it, a fighter who I really, really like, Regis Prograis, who I think is absolutely fantastic, fighting Tyrone McKenna. That's confirmed. I think that is a mismatch. No offense to Tyrone McKenna, but I think that he has never won a British level fight. He's lost to O'Hara Davis and Jack Cattrall. What the hell is he doing in there at Regis Prograis?
No idea. I did a podcast with Boxing Social, and it was like myself, Andy Clark, obviously Rob Tebbett, and Barry Jones were on it, and it kind of got mentioned there. And look, I can be honest, everyone kind of laughed. I don't care. They might not admit that. Everyone kind of smiled, like, stop it. Yeah. How this fight has been announced as a proper fight, it almost shows the desperation of Prograis as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Prograis since the Josh Taylor defeat, how he's not been able to really get himself back in the top level mix. It makes no sense for me how he's not even jumped to 147 and got himself in that mix. I don't understand what's going on. I don't blame Prograis. He's probably getting paid a lot of money to fight someone nowhere near his level. So he'll look at this like easy work and almost like robbing a bank. But how Tyrone McKenna's in there with him, I have no idea. And this is awful matchmaking. And people need to say it. I think people need to call it out, because this shouldn't be happening. No way. McKenna's nowhere near. You're talking about Prograis, who's probably the second best 140-pounder in the world. Probably the second best. Fighting McKenna, who's probably not a top 25. That's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. When I seen it, I nearly was just like, I was like, what the hell? Why are they doing that? Like, you are going to be paying Prograis a crazy amount of money. And look, Tyrone McKenna is an absolute gent of a man. He's a cool guy. He's funny, but he should not be in anywhere near Regis Prograis. Shouldn't be anywhere near.
I like what McKenna does in terms of the way in which he sells himself. You got to respect that. I'm a big fan of fighters promoting themselves, and McKenna has always done these fun videos, which I think are good. But that's nothing to do with his boxing ability. His boxing ability is one thing, and his boxing ability compared to, and look, by the way, me and you are not saying he doesn't have boxing ability. He does.
No, he can definitely box. Definitely can.
He's a good boxer, but he's not on the Prograis level. And this is why I'm shocked about it. But again, it's also a bit of desperation for Prograis here, because he's not been able to sort of nail down a proper broadcast deal, a proper promoter that's going to give him those fights. So it's a desperation move from him as well. So look, it's weird when he's fought in Triller. He's now fighting for Probellum. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Prograis. Not at all.
The Probellum one is bizarre, because the cards they put on before Christmas were actually quite good. They were getting names on them, but everything about, like, even what was it, Casemiro was meant to be on it, and we had all the shenanigans with that as well. There seems to be a lot going on behind the scenes with Probellum that maybe we don't know about, because they're kind of getting these good cards out, but then there's a lot of like ifs and this and that going on. It's bizarre. Obviously, big fights we have
cards with asterisks and question marks and next to them. And look, don't get me wrong. I mean, good luck to them.
It's like Triller-like.
It's very Triller-like. It feels a bit like that, where it sounds all good and glitz and glamour, but I'm not quite sure that they've got a good team. Adam Cattrall and Nick Pete, I think, are two of the best at what they do. Ali Drew is I'm a big fan of.
Yes, I'm one.
You for different reasons. So I feel like it's a good team, a good setup. Jim White's on it, which is a bit random, if I'm honest with you. But I don't know. We'll wait and see in a couple of months. I mean, Triller came in and they were talking a big game, and all of a sudden they can't even put a fight on. So we'll see.
They're recycling Sergei Kovalev now.
this is it. There you go. I mean, that says a lot. And you think of when Triller came out, especially with the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, it looked amazing.
Yeah, it did.
But now Mike Tyson's
brilliant.
even come out, and look, Mike Tyson's come out and said they haven't paid me in full. So that shows where Triller is. So we'll wait and see how these new boxing promoters / broadcasters sort of all play out in the next 12, 18 months.
Speaking of news, Sky and Boxer, Eubank versus Williams coming up in a couple of weeks' time. What are your thoughts on that? I'm really looking forward to it, but it's the unknown, because I think Eubank Jr. is caught between two styles, and Liam Williams, if he fights his normal fight and Eubank fights his normal fight, lights him up like a Christmas tree. But I don't know what Eubank we're going to get. We're going to get the Boxer. We're going to get the volume kind of punch. What are we going to get? I don't even know.
I think if the going gets tough for Eubank in the middle rounds, he'll just revert to type. And then if he reverts to type, I think that's a bit of a problem for Liam Williams. Because I think once he puts it on Eubank at this level, I think he's already shown, if you go back to 5 years ago, the like of Spike O'Sullivan, he's already shown at this level, he's above this level.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he is above this level. I think he's almost stuck. In football terms, he's almost like a Watford, where he's too good for the Championship, but he's not good enough for the Premier League. And that's where I kind of feel like Eubank is. He's stuck between, he's clearly too good for British and European, but once he gets to world level, there might be a problem for him. But I think he's good enough for Liam Williams. Just to go back, before I talk about the fight anymore, just to go back to Boxer and Sky, I have to give them plaudits, by the way, because I have to admit, when Matchroom decided to leave and go to Zone, I thought that was it for Sky. There were so many rumors like they're not going to continue with their boxing. Their February is incredible. Like, to have it end with Amir Khan, Kell Brook, and then obviously you've got the Liam Williams, Eubank Jr., you've got Clarissa Shields on that card as well. You've got Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall. And that's an incredible February, like incredible. And you've got to give plaudits to them as well. To be able to continue, but then put on these kind of cards that are going to attract a lot of interest and a lot of eyeballs, it is very good. Going back to the Eubank Jr. one, I think Eubank he surely has to be too good for Liam Williams. If he wants what he says he wants in terms of the names that he's been calling out for the last 10 years, then he has to show that he's better than Liam Williams, and I think he will be. He looks a lot bigger than him physically as well, and I do think that he's now worked with Roy Jones for the best part of 2 years. Surely, I know there's not a lot of fights in that 2 years, but surely you now have a game plan or a style that you can implement. And I think he will do it. And I think he's going to relish fighting in front of away fans as well. I think he's the kind of person that I think...
He loved that.
He loves it. He'll feed on it. And he'll go into that top apron and he'll look out at the crowd and he will do that kind of smirk he does and he'll jump the ropes and do business. I think it's going to be a fantastic performance. And I think Eubank Jr. is going to stop Liam Williams.
I think he's going to win too. Just a quick one. If this chucks one of us out, just letting you know, because StreamYard is always weird when you do it on the phone, and sometimes it kind of flashes a bit like it's doing on my screen now. It might chuck one of us out, just so you're aware, just in case you'll be back in a minute. So just a heads up in case that does happen. But in terms of Sky and Boxer, I think that they've signed Florian Marku. Yeah. So it's very smart what they did with him on the last card he was on, where they had him.
Oh, there you go. Gman's gone. Gman's gone. Let me take over. Let me look at some of the comments. Who's here? Nick Hamer, Chris Andre, all blessed, bro. Hope your night shift isn't too long.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Kicked you out. Look at that.
I knew that was going to happen. The minute I see it like pop a little bit, I was like, it's going to kick one of us out, because it did that, I think, with Jamie last time, and I was like, it's going to kick one of us out. Wait, you see. Yeah,
look at that. Hashtag the Ade takeover.
The Ade takeover. I know, yeah. But the good thing is now I'm not worried about going over the hour, because now I know it does that once, it won't do it again. So
I'm charging you if we go over the hour. I'm charging. I'll get my new agent to send over a bill.
I got the super chat, so I'm happy enough to keep going. It's fine. I got that one, so that's me sorted now for the next month. But no, I think it was smart what Boxer did with Marku when he fought on the what was the guy's name? Reactport card, where he went on very, very last. So the stadium was just full. It looked like a world title fight. And then the main event was already over before they even went out.
Very, very smart. Like, normally, I think that's wrong. because the main event was Reactpor versus Duradollar. But it was smart because if you put Marku on before Reactpor, apologies, would have been fighting in front of a man and his dog. Everyone would have gone. So it was very, very smart. Look, Marku's clearly got that big Albanian following. And I'm so surprised when I don't see these fighters with DAZN. I have to be brutally honest with you. And I'm not just saying this as someone that works for DAZN. I'm like, why is DAZN let Marku go? Or why has they not agreed something? I find it weird. I find it weird that Savannah Marshall, who's fought for Matchroom, is not on DAZN. Like, all these fighters, I'm like, has there been an issue with Eddie Hearn and the relations there? Because how are these people not fighting on DAZN? DAZN has lost a lot of talent. Like even Troy Williamson, who was in that Fight of the Year fight against Ted Chi. Why is he now signed to Probellum? Like, it makes no sense to me. I'm like, why is Eddie not signing these fighters? I find it weird. Again, DAZN is supposed to be the biggest show over here in the UK, so you'd think it should have all the best talent, and it clearly doesn't, because you look at the schedule for Boxer in February, all these fighters you think should be on DAZN. But no, I find it strange.
No, I find it, when I've seen between Savannah Marshall, Troy Williamson, even Lewis Ritson to an extent, because he's still a big ticket seller, and Marco, all these boxers who just bring eyes to DAZN are gone. They're either gone to Probellum or they're gone to Box. Don't get me wrong, it's good for them. But I'm just like, you have gold there, which not just kind of run with it and keep it instead of letting it just decide to chuck it at everyone.
I find it weird. I feel like they should have almost been doing, like, and this is the zone I'm talking about, almost a bit like an Al Heyman of a few years ago, where you sign everyone. Like even Huey Fury, whether or not it's a draw, you sign it. You know what it is? I think, you know why I think you sign Huey Fury? Just because I think they're an easy fight to make with him, with the likes of, eventually in a year time, Fabio Wardley, Derek Chisora. These are fights that will do something in the heavyweight division over here anyway. I just feel like I'm shocked that all these fighters are not with DAZN. It shocks me. Like even the Amir Khan, Kell Brook one. I mean, you think about that. Kell Brook was with Eddie Hearn for 10 years. Amir Khan signed to Eddie for 2 years. And all of a sudden, they're both now fighting on Sky Sports. It's weird.
I don't get it myself. And that Amir Khan Kell Brook fight, I'm interested in it. Loads of people who said they weren't, they are. They're into it now. And I think that would do great numbers in DAZN if it was there.
It would have done massive numbers. I don't think, and look, Eddie might not admit this, but I don't think he thought it would do as well as it has done in the box office. I mean, the tickets all sold out in minutes. Yeah. And I think he thought, it was a bit of like, it's done, it's past its sell-by date, and people would have laughed. Clearly not. People are so interested in it. So I think Eddie will probably look back and be upset that they've not got it. But I think he'll also be upset that they're not going to get Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, especially because Eddie's been very good in promoting female boxing. Like, there's been a female fight on pretty much every single show. So for him to not have the biggest female fight on his show, again, man, it's a problem. It's a problem. Not good.
Mm-hmm. In terms of Amir Khan, Kell Brook, who do you have? Who do you have? Did you know, right?
Go on.
If this had been 2015, Kell Brook, no question asked.
Forget it. Forget it. If this was 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, all my money that I've saved up from this little fucking jobs I've done, I would have put on Kell Brook immediately. Now, they both deteriorated at the same time. I don't think Kell's going to make the 149 weight limit very well. No. Yeah, I don't think the extra 2 pounds are going to do anything good for him. The punch resistance.
Apparently, Amir Khan right now is only 157 pounds, so it's nothing for him.
Nothing. And he's training with Terence Crawford in that group as well, which I think is good. Iron sharpens iron, as they say. I would favour Amir Khan right now. Honestly, I'd favour Amir Khan. I remember watching the Amir Khan Terence Crawford fight. Obviously, Terence Crawford gets to him. Amir Khan, for a couple of rounds, that speed is still there, Oh, yeah. His hands are his feet aren't as fast anymore, but his hands are very fast. I just think that Amir Khan might have waited and landed. Although all it takes is one from Kell. All it takes is one of those big ones from Kell, and you never know. But I actually think it could I think it might surprise people. I think Khan could stop Kell now. I think Kell's punch resistance, trying to make the 147-pound weight limit or 149, is too much. I think it's gone.
I agree, right? I agree with you on that. But I think one thing that we're not talking about too much is that we're looking at Kell Brook's last performance from November of 2020. right? Lest we forget, it has been nearly 3 years since Amir Khan has won a fight and had a fight. And if you want, and that fight was a bit of a joke. If you want to talk about a proper fight, it will have been basically 3 years since he's had a fight. So it's easy to say Kell Brook looked rubbish as last week. We've forgotten how long it's been since Amir Khan has had a fight. So he could have absolutely been gone, away with the fairies.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, and let's not forget as well, Amir Khan is what, 35, I think?
He's not getting any younger.
This is the guy that turned pro just after he's just coming up to his 18th birthday. So he's been a professional fighter for half his life, which is crazy. I mean, it's incredible. So look, both of them, as I said, deteriorated badly. Both of them. One getting bashed up by Canelo, which takes years off your life, and one getting hurt by Golovkin, which again, stupid decisions. So look, I now think it's a 50-50 fight, whereas before I would have always favored Kell Brook, even peak Amir Khan. So the Khan that beat Devin Alexander and those fights back then, I still would have favored Kell. But now, I don't think this is the Kell that lives the life correctly. I don't think this is the Kell that makes the weight properly. And so I'm going to favor Amir Khan. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. I think, gun to the head, I'll say Amir Khan beats Kell Brook on points. And
I'm with you on that. I'm going with that as well. I never thought I would, but the more I look at it, I just, that whole Amir Khan question mark about inactivity, yes, but when I look at Kell, and it was a jab that started it in that Crawford fight, and I was like, man, it's gone. Like, that punch resistance is non-existent. It's crazy.
It's gone, and that's what happens. I mean, you speak to nutritionists about the weight cut and sort of, when you're really trying to kill yourself to make a weight, and the water to the brain or something along those lines, and the punch resistance is gone. It really is. So I just think you've got to edge towards Amir Khan. It's a shame if you're a Kell Brook fan like I am, because again, if these guys would have met 10 years ago when they should have met, then it's a different story. But this is how it is, man.
There's a rematch clause in that contract, and I wonder.
Which makes no sense. Amir Khan put that in as well. It's strange. But hey.
If this fight is good, they'll definitely do a rematch. Like, imagine it is Amir Khan winning, but it's close and competitive, and maybe both guys get dropped.
You go again, because who else is there to fight? People sort of said things like Conor Benn. I mean, you don't. What kind of money is that going to give you now? It's not really. You go again against each other. Yeah. I mean, Conor Benn's a big fight, but I think you would go again if there's money in it. I think it's rare that you see a rematch when there's no belt on the line. Mm-hmm. But hey, if you can go again, go again.
And people like it and want to see it. You'd make more money having two. There could be a case that these guys could maybe not Amir Khan, the Canelo fight, but Kell Brook might have made more money if he has two fights with Amir Khan than anything in his career. Imagine that.
Yeah.
At the very end.
And I know they're very, very upset that they didn't look at a small stadium for this fight as well. I know that for a fact. I think they were surprised how quick the ticket sold out. And yes, a lot of them are bought by StubHub, and I get that, but it's a sellout. You can't get a ticket for love nor money. So I think they'll be thinking, shit, we didn't know there was this appetite for this fight. They could have done a stadium, not a big one, a 30,000, 40,000 seat stadium. It would have sold out again. So I think they might think, if this is close, do it again, and then we do it in a stadium. Yeah. I think there's money to be made from it. But yeah, good luck to them. I'm happy for Kell to be getting paid this late in his career. Amir Khan doesn't really need the money as much as Kell does, but good for him as well. It's good.
It's going to be, like, I'm glad we're going to see it, man. When we were talking about this before, I was like, I'm done. But then when it was finally getting serious, I was like, no, I do want to see it. I'm lying. I do actually want to see it. I think it's just something in us that we wanted for so long. And they're both characters. Like, I think these guys, it's not just the fact that stylistically it could be a good fight. They both don't like each other. The trolling is just funny. That I think it's just everything that kind of comes in it. It just makes us want to see it.
Yeah, I think you can also sell it a bit in the fact that both of their most recent losses have been to the pound for pound number 2.
Yeah.
So there's no shame in losing to Terence Crawford. I mean, most people fighting Terence Crawford will lose. Maybe not that way, but you're going to lose. If they got put on their backsides by outside the top 15, then it's like, oh, they're completely done. But the fact they got beat by Terence Crawford, I know Khan had that fight with Billy Dean, but the fact that they both got beat recently by Terence Crawford is no shame at all. It is no shame. But so look, I'm happy. I'm lucky as well. TalkSport have got the right for it, so I will be there for it, which is just a bit of a blessing. Happy days, boy. I was crying about how I'm going to get a ticket for this one. crying, like, no way, please God. So look, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the atmosphere. Khan fans hate Kel. Kel fans hate Khan. It's divide. It's a split, and it's a split for whatever reason. I think there's a bit of a racial issue there. If I'm honest with you, I'm not silly to not see some of the comments I want to make on videos. But there's a split regardless, and I think it's going to make for an amazing atmosphere.
No, I can't wait, man. We're only little over 3 weeks away from it. We had a quiet January, and now it's got us ready for this big month coming up.
Yeah, look, and we're ready for it, man. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a fun time.
And this is only the start. Imagine what other fights we're going to get announced along the way. It's going to be fantastic this year, I think, in boxing.
Yeah, like even in the heavyweight division, I know people are upset about what's going on, but even like regardless, somehow we're going to see either Fury Usyk or Usyk AJ and Fury White. Like regardless of how it plays out, we're still going to get some ridiculous fights in the heavyweight division. I think the only disappointment for me is that I don't think we're going to get Crawford Spence. That's the only thing that's going to upset me.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's going to be a good one.
I think it's going to be great. Well, we went over the hour as you requested. I was thinking, I don't want to go too long.
As you needed. Even though, guys, I'm not feeling well. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but because Gman is my guy, I messaged Gman and said, look, I'm too tired to get to the studio, but I'm going to come on with you. I'm going to give you an hour. And I've done it.
That's why I was thinking I better let him off early but I'm glad we got the hour. It was good fun.
I'm going straight to bed now.
Straight to bed. Well, lassies, 208 in the chat, right? Two things. One, if you could smash the like button on the way out, but if you haven't gone over at Oladipo, one of the best channels on YouTube, first real YouTuber who ever spoke to me and gave me any advice. So I go back. It's been about 3 years now, so I go back a long way.
It was 3 years the time that we first spoke when you reached out to me. It was 3 years ago. And then you didn't even know what mic to use.
Yeah, I didn't even have a mic. It's crazy. It's crazy what I emailed you 3 years ago, and here we are doing a video together with 200 plus people in it. It's crazy when you think about it. Just a bit of work and how time.
I find it crazy. Like even my channel, and yes, like I've got I'm getting some good numbers and stuff, but even it still shocks me when I do a video and it still gets over a few thousand. I'm like, geez,
people I'm like that as well. I'm like, I love it when I see over 1,000. I'm like, yes, there we go.
Yeah.
People.
Did someone say nice painting? Aaron Daly says nice painting in the back at it. It is. My sister gave me that. It
is actually
cool. It's pretty cool. My sister gave it to me.
That's the one thing I do need to get, and I bought pictures, but I just haven't hung them yet for back here. I
literally
bought them for Christmas.
Do something with your background, please, G-Man? It looks like you're in a jail cell.
It's my living room. It's a nice living room, but it's just I've nothing in behind there. So I got at Christmas loads of pictures, just haven't framed them yet. And they will be going up, and they are nice. They are nice pictures. They're not boxing pictures, but they are nice.
hey, you know what? Broken Nose Boxing. Yeah.
Big up to Chris.
Chris, wait. Does he do the videos, like the 1 minute review videos?
Yes,
sometimes
he does.
That is it. Oh, yeah, that is. Yes.
That is
he does
man, Chris.
I don't know how he does that shit in 1 minute. I have no idea.
I can't do it. I tried it. I tried to do it. It was like, no, not for me. Can't do it. Cannot do it.
Yeah.
Jay Ben says there with the 50. Can you base yourself in the UK? Watch the space, mate. Watch the space. At some stage this year, watch the space. That's the plan. Yeah.
I think it's important. I think it's important for you, especially if you want to get out to shows and events.
That's it.
I think that's the one. Because obviously, very little happens now. Well, big boxing shows in Ireland anyway. Now it is obviously all of it.
They never did, man.
Yeah, there you go. So I think it's important that you get out. Are you getting more super chats than coming in?
I am. Who's more super chats? Big up to Love Boxing TV, John and Kaya. You ever seen their channel?
No. Let me have a look now. Is it good?
Great channel.
Yeah.
Two guys. The chemistry between John and Kaya is incredible. I've been on there a few times.
Wait a minute. I'm sure they've. Wait a minute. I do know them. They reached out to me to come on. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I do know. Love Boxing TV. Wait. Yes, I do know them. I do because come on. How have I not gone on? I need to go on.
Great lads.
Yeah.
Great guys as well. Man, we got all the channels in the chat tonight, don't we? We got everyone. Between Jamie, we had Chris. We had Chris in there earlier. I just didn't see his chat. There we go. Great show, boys. God bless. Big up to Chris Andre as well every time. Doing some of the best numbers on YouTube as well.
All right, Chris Andre knows his shit. That's why Chris Andre knows his shit. Like
every time I have him on here, he puts me to shame.
Literally. Yeah, he's the kind of person. Yeah, you don't want to get on unless you got your research.
Yeah, literally.
Make sure you're up to scratch with your research so you can get embarrassing. Get bad for you pretty quickly.
Oh man, every time I'm on here, I'm just like, I need people to be like, "Gee, he's putting you to shame." Like, I know, but I like listening to him, so I don't mind.
No. And I think this is what we look. There's always going to be some people that know more about a certain subject in boxing than yourself, and that's okay. It's fine. I mean, not everyone can know everything. Like I speak to people that know every single thing about the super flyweights. Good luck to them. You know, like congratulations. I'm impressed. So it goes both ways, but I think it makes for really good conversations as well.
It does, and
it makes you educate yourself, and I think it's really good.
And no, we had a great chat in here this evening. So I'm actually glad. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have gone over the hour. So I appreciate that. I do definitely owe you a drink when I'm over in the UK next, hopefully soon.
You know, I'm actually not drinking at the moment, but maybe when you come, I could have a drink. This one as well. No boxing videos are being made right now, as every YouTuber is in this chat. Very true.
Pretty much. That's pretty much it. Even Chris, and big up to Chris. Don't put any shame in voice. It's all honor to chat with all you guys and enrich our boxing experience. Nothing but love. And that's big up to Chris Andre as well. And Chris from Broken Nose.
What area is Chris from? And is he London based?
I'm not 100% sure. I know. I think
Chris, you're London based, Chris. Let's get you to the studio, man. Let's talk boxing. Let's see if I can hang with Chris Andre.
That would be good.
Let's see how far we can go. How far does the knowledge go?
That would be so much fun. I know Chris doesn't live far from London because we were going to meet up last time I was over. Well, he was just busy with work. So fingers crossed next time I can see all you guys. Fingers crossed. But lads, I'm going to end this here. What a chat. It's been a great chat. Thank you, Ade, for coming on, and big up to everyone in the chat.
Not at all, man. My pleasure, honestly. Thank you to all of them that drop super chats. No matter the amount, it always helps. It really does help the channel.
It does.
Grow in terms of just getting equipment and just continuing the growth. So really appreciate everyone that's dropped a like, a super chat, a follow, a subscribe. It means a lot, man.
And as Chris says there, London based, and it will be an honor.
All right. Chris, email me if you can, please. That would be nice. Let's see if we can get this done.
That would be
I like as well. People subscribe to each other channels. Sorry, look, you want to say goodbye, and I look at me hanging on.
No, I don't mind, man.
Nick Harmer saying he just subscribed to Chris Andre Boxing. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
That's it.
Yeah.
But
all right, dude. All right. Peace and love, brother.